Hey everyone, grab your quarters and your box of goobers. So we're headed to the arcades for arcade gaming. All right, we're going to talk about classic arcade games, games that we loved playing when we were younger in the arcades, and still arcades are still around, but not around us, but still they're still around. So we're going to talk about arcade games and the things we loved. So I think first off we'll start with Russ. Russ, what is some of the great arcade classics or some of the great arcade experience that you remember back in the day?
Oh my goodness. There's two titles that come to my mind more than any other, and it may date myself a little bit, but I'm going to say it anyway. The original Star Wars. Yeah, I know, guys. Star Wars. Oh my God! Surprise from Russell. He said Star Wars. Yeah, I know. Kiss my anyway. Yeah, Star Wars, the original one. I mean, I can hear, use the force, Luke. I can just hear that at Red 5 standing by. I mean, I could just hear that arcade game like it was yesterday. The second game, Tron. Oh my gosh, I probably put so many. I had I took that money from Tron and invested it into Apple, I probably could own like 17,000 Tron games just for my own room because I spent so much money on that game. I can hear the arm, just doing that little thing with the arm. I don't know if y'all remember that when you're trying to come out the tunnel, or the disc throw of Tron. That game was a lot of fun. Those are my two oldest picks. We're gonna have probably a time here in just a little bit to talk about some of the newer ones that we've played. But old school, those two there, I have put quite a few uh, dollars, or quite a few hundreds of dollars probably in, or at least my dad did anyway, because I was young when I was playing them. So, Shane, what about you, man?
Man, it's a hard choice, but the one that always probably will stick in my mind: Ninja Turtles. Four playing
Stole
Ninja
mine.
Turtles.
You stole it.
I knew one, if not two, of you were going to grab that one. We all knew Russ was hitting the Star Wars trail, but Ninja Turtles. I mean, that is just mind blowing buddy game right there. Four people, 50,000 quarters, and you get to play Ninja Turtles. I was always Donatello because you had the reach. Always had the reach with Donatello's bow. Um, I mean, you go in there, Aladdin's castle or whatever it was, in
Staff.
your area, bow staff.
Sure, sure.
Don't judge me.
Welcome to our next podcast. Was it a staff or a bow staff?
It's a bow staff. Anyways, uh, you go into the arcade at the mall, or movie theaters nowadays still have some, like Nick was saying earlier today. But dropping quarters, dropping more quarters, trying to beat the actual game in the time that you have at the mall or whatever, waiting for your parents or whatnot. It got expensive and timely really quick. But Ninja Turtles is definitely one of my top favorites. What about you, Pat? Since I stole yours, what you got?
Yep. I can remember playing tons of Ninja Turtles. I remember when I was a kid and I'd go stay with my grandma. And as a kid, going to stay with your grandparents, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I played a lot of video games, and I remember going to Walmart when I was a kid, and right when you go into Walmart, they always had a few arcades, and Ninja Turtles was always there. So my grandma would give me $5 worth of quarters, and she'd go shopping in Walmart, and I'd play Ninja Turtles till she got back. That was one of the ones that I did a lot of. But also, I mean, going to the arcades when I was a kid, used to play a lot of Golden Axe. That was one of my favorites as a kid. And Altered Beast, that was a good one on arcade. I was really glad to see they brought that back to the the consoles when we were younger when they brought that, so I didn't have to spend a whole lot of money after I could get a help my hands on them. And then nowadays we don't have a whole lot of arcades. I mean, the mall is the biggest one you're going to get into, but we do have an old retro arcade 1984 around us that you know they're a pretty good deal. I don't know what they charge anymore, but it used to be when they first opened up, $5 would get you everything for all day play for $5, except for pinball machines. Pinballs you still had to pay for to play, but pinballs are notoriously high maintenance machines anyway, so I can understand that. But yeah, I mean, I played so much Ninja Turtles and Golden Axe on the arcade games just because they were a babysitter, I think, when I was a kid. Because my dad or my grandparents would be like, "Here's $10 or $20. I'll see you in a while," you know, because $20 worth of quarters would get you like half a day's worth of arcade games back in the day. But you know, it's a great nostalgia thing, and but I don't want to go back and play that stuff now because it's going to ruin it for me because I'm a graphics snob now. So arcade games are not what they used to be for me. But back when I did play arcade, that was the standard of video games. You know, Nick, what about you, man? What are some of your fondest memories and some of the your favorite arcades?
I do remember the Ninja Turtles arcade. That was also one of my favorites, and the Star Wars one. I remember playing that one a lot. Um, one of the ones I do remember that was kind of like the Ninja Turtle one. I think it actually may have came out before the Ninja Turtle one, or maybe after. I'm not quite sure. Was the Simpsons arcade machine? That was the four-player co-op Simpsons one, and that was a lot of fun to play. I remember playing that one a lot. And I mean, there's so many classics. Virtual Fighter. I put a ton of quarters into Virtual Fighter. I
Yeah.
used to play that all the time. Some of the old. I love the one of the things I loved playing in the arcade was the shooters. So like uh, Lethal Enforcers or
Oh gosh,
the
yeah.
Terminator one. We had the
Better say
machine gun and
Sniper Scope.
everything.
Time
Oh, of course,
Crisis.
Sniper Scope. Time
Area
Crisis was my
51.
favorite. I love Time
Yeah.
Crisis.
Can't leave out
I
Area
mean,
51. That one was
yeah,
everywhere.
Oh
Area
yeah.
51. Yeah, I loved Area 51. Always played that a lot. And then as it got into some of the later on arcade machines, I remember when Tekken came in, and Tekken came in with that big screen. And that
Oh
was like
yeah.
the first time we saw that arcade with this giant screen, and that was so cool. And then, I think Battle Arena Toshinden was also in the arcades, which was that one came to PlayStation later. And then, some of the other Mortal Kombat. I remember the original Mortal Kombat
Oh
coming in
yeah.
there and
Yeah.
playing that all the time. Tons of quarters into that.
Finish him.
But I always went towards those arcade machines mainly that were the shooters. I love the shooters like Time Crisis. There were some that never came to any sort of console like Carnival. That was a shooter one. I think you had a shotgun in that one. House of the Dead was also in the arcades,
Yeah.
and those were all great arcade games. I miss arcades. I wish we still had one around. I mean, we do have 1984, which does have the classics in there, but back in the day, we had a place called Aladdin's Castle, which they always got the new arcade machines, and I just miss playing those. If they had it still today, I would go and play and spend quarters to play all these arcade machines because they still do make them, but unfortunately, they don't bring them here. Really, I mean, there might be some places in the U.S. that do import them or bring them here, but uh, especially where we live, there's really not much of a selection besides a few places that might have an arcade machine here and there, which sucks.
Yeah. Without a Busters or something like that, we
Yeah.
don't really get to see much anything.
Yeah, I was
Right.
Yeah,
gonna
that kind of
say.
reminds me.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dave and Buster's is like the only place that I know of that does it, as part of their whole scheme. I mean, it's not like a few arcade games sitting at the theater.
Right. Right. Yeah. And um, it's definitely and well, I'm trying. I remember back in the day going to like Showbiz Pizza and stuff like
Oh
that. You guys
yeah.
remember that and all the arcades, and now you have Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like that. Um, it was definitely some cool places to play arcades. But yeah, Dave and Buster's is what you're gonna have to go to now if you want an arcade. But arcade games are really big over in Japan. Um, they have the Sega clubs and stuff like that still over there, from what I understand. And those are the guys that are still putting out all the arcades because we've seen some really cool arcade games come out of there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we don't get anything in the U.S. And talking about Showbiz Pizza, we also have a place in town that's similar to that. We have Incredible Pizza,
Hmm.
where they have a decent amount of arcade and some VR stuff in there as well as some stuff like that for kids. But we're lacking anything true of what we had when I was a kid because I remember walking into a giant what looked like a warehouse just lined with arcades and 3 or 4 copies of every arcade game just down the walls and on the sides and pinball and everything. And the noise and the atmosphere, you just there's nothing like it anymore. I mean, the fair is about as close as you can get to something about what I would consider that atmosphere, because it kind of reminded me of that type of atmosphere, all the noise and the machines going off, and it's like going into a casino, except for you're not there to win anything. You just put quarters in and play these video games. You're
Yeah.
not going to win.
I wish
anything.
the casino
And
was that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have a better chance.
But
of
that's
winning.
one thing. That's one thing that always gave you a sound of fun was those quarters hitting a metal tray, man. I was like, yes.
Except
It's a kid's version of Vegas. It's like I win.
except for in the arcade, there's never any quarters coming out. It's all quarters just going in, or where you hit that change machine.
Oh yeah.
The line at the change machine where you're trying to flatten out your bill so they'll take it so you get some
Unless
Right.
unless that one kid. Yeah, unless that one kid left his damn quarter sitting on the machine.
right? You got a free
Yeah.
game.
Is he coming back? I don't think
Oh
so.
yeah.
Right.
No, he ain't.
Not now.
You walk away, they're mine.
Right. I mean, we don't have anything like that anymore, and that was I don't know. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think my parents and anybody else, they kind of use it as a babysitter a little bit, because I remember being fairly young and just being given cash, and when my parents would go shopping or whatever, and they needed a couple hours without me, and just hit the arcade and go play, or else we would go with some buddies, friends. They'd be like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the arcade," and ask my parents for like $10 or $20,
Yeah, that's the one thing that I wished. Everything's made a comeback of some sort. Freaking bell bottoms came back. Why haven't we seen something like arcades? I mean, the gaming industry is freaking huge. Are we? I mean, I can't see gamers being so lazy that they don't want to go to the arcade.
I mean,
I can't.
it,
I don't
I'd go to
think
the
that's the
arcade.
reason. I think it's the cost.
I would say so too. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I think most of it is cost effect. Is cost is a factor. I mean, it's
Yeah.
super expensive to start up an arcade. I mean, you're not going to go throw in $1,000 and open up a large arcade. You're going to have to spend a lot of money to buy all these cabinets and and licensing for these things and stuff. It's just
Mhm.
I don't think
I mean,
it's
my
very.
cousin has that nickel arcade or whatever he calls it, Nickel Mania or whatever it is. But I mean, he's been doing that for like 15 years. So he started it, at the right time. And but I don't see him switching out games near as often as we did in the past.
Right. Yeah, and he's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
not loading in the new stuff that's coming out from Sega and Japan and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like what's I think we just read not too long ago. Is it like a year or two ago? They came out with like a Lethal Enforcer 5 or something like that.
Yeah, there was a new Lethal Enforcer, and then that they have that Dark Escape 4D, which is
Yeah.
a on rails shooter,
Yes.
and it's 3D with stereoscopic sound and all that stuff, in this little booth that you go into, and that looks awesome. And that came out a few years ago,
Yeah.
but I would love to play it, but it's not going to be
Right.
around here.
I
I
mean,
mean, there might
they
be a
got-
place that has one, but not
I
anywhere
doubt it.
close.
Yeah, I doubt it anywhere close here. Because I
Mm.
mean, the best places that we get anything like that are going to be, but it's all old stuff. They don't have a whole lot of new stuff. Is like I said, that Incredible Pizza place. I mean, if you want to go put up with the kids, I don't know what Chuck E. Cheese has for arcade games anymore, but they used to have arcade games.
Nothing. good.
I'd rather shoot myself in the face with it.
There's
but
nothing
like
good at
Andy-
Chuck E. Cheese.
But like Andy B's, they had that Star Wars one. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a fully enclosed, immersive like Star Wars game where you actually went inside it, and so it had surround sound and all
Yeah.
this stuff, and that was kind of cool. But
They had that place in the mall.
$18 for
yeah,
5 minutes.
exactly, $18 for 5 minutes. That's the truth.
They had
Yeah,
that
you
place in the
pay.
mall that it's that climbing place, but it has the Halo arcade.
The
Sky
Halo.
Zone, yeah, Sky Zone, isn't it?
Mhm.
Or Sky Zone is what's in.
Yeah, Sky Zone.
Yeah, I'm
Just
taking my
look
kids
how
there.
And
badly
that,
we're
the Halo
jonesing.
one is really.
What's that?
Go ahead,
Nicholas?
Shane.
Yeah, the Halo one is really good though. Surprisingly, it is really
It
good.
just
Yeah,
it
it's
just
fun.
goes to show how badly we're jonesing for this stuff, that we're willing to go somewhere where there's tons of millions of kids screaming and yelling and throwing stuff just to get in a little arcade game. And I mean, this is just 4 of us in a small town. I mean, there's probably a need somewhere for it. I mean, if there's any investors, please let us know. We'll run it for you.
Well, at Sky Zone, you can't even get in if you don't have a kid, so you gotta go
Right,
borrow
I
a
went
kid
there
if you
for
want
a
to go
kid's
play that.
birthday, and I was just sitting down, oh, there's nothing to do. Kids are playing, they're climbing stuff, and then I looked over to the right, and I'm like, hold on a sec, there's a Halo arcade machine sitting there. So I went over and played
And you
that.
can go
Nick's
in.
like, "Where's the ATM?"
Yeah, you can go in without a kid. You just can't walk out with one.
Shane learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Said sorry.
But yeah, I mean, they still have some
But
stuff like
the
that. I mean, we're pretty close to what the world has famously said is Ned Flanders' version of Las Vegas. We have Branson, Missouri, that is near us,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of arcade stuff in there.
and they have an
They have
arcade.
arcades down there.
Yeah.
They
But
used to. Do they still have
they
arcades
still
down
do.
there?
Yeah.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
Do
still have the
Yeah,
go
it's
kart
pretty
track.
pure,
They still have the
though.
go kart track with the arcades and stuff like that. But that's a 40-minute drive, 45-minute drive from here to go do that. That's a little bit far to drive. Maybe if it was a
But
day
they have
trip or
newer
something.
arcades. Because last time I was in there,
Oh no.
that one with the go kart, they had some pretty old arcade machines in there.
All right.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know
it's-
if they still have newer arcade, or they have newer arcades in there, or if they still just have the older arcade machines. Because last time I was in there, they had old ones. But that it has been years ago, granted, but still.
Right. I think it's still old. I mean, like I said, I don't see the U.S. getting a lot of the older or the newer, I should say, arcade games that like Sega produces and stuff like that. Just they're so expensive. I mean, when you talked about that Lethal Enforcer 5, I went out and looked at it. And I'm like, oh my god, who can afford one of these cabinets? You know. So
Come
Because
on,
that's some-
lottery.
Yeah, there's severe markup when they bring them over from Japan
Right.
and stuff.
I mean-
It's nuts.
I mean, their culture is still it's a lot different than ours. I mean, because they have, oh my god, it just blanked out of my mind, but they're really big in Japan on like the surprise things. Like you can go into a store and you can,
Yeah, the vending machines.
yeah, the vending machines. You turn the
Yeah.
dial and you get
Mhm.
these
They have
eggs.
those in GameStop, the gotcha
Right.
machines, or
The
whatever they
gotchas,
call
that's
them.
what they are. They're gotchas. That's what they are. Yeah, the
Yeah.
gotchas, and they're really big over there. Like they have entire shops over there that are nothing but like gotcha machines, and you just go in, you're like, I want one of those, one of those, one of these, one of those, and you're just a whole shop that's nothing but that. And they're really big into the technology and market and stuff like that. But we're
They have a
not,
10-foot Gundam, or was it 15-foot, or
Yeah,
20-foot
giant
Gundam, or
Gundam.
something like that?
No. There's a 65
60
foot automated
Yeah,
Gundam.
it's huge. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it is. It is
But,
awesome.
I want a Gundam.
If you want good arcades, you go to Shinjuku, Shibuya. I mean, my dream before freaking I die, I want to go to Japan and I want to whore up the arcades so bad. I want to just go there and live in the arcades because they're
Right.
amazing. Because they're not just a place you go and play a game. These are experiences. The way they handle these things, it's
I
amazing.
want to go
Yeah.
there for the arcades and the retro shops, because they
Yes.
have. I mean, they have all the stuff that we can't hardly find here. All the Super Nintendo. I mean, maybe Super Famicom over there, but I'm sure Super Nintendo still, and all those, stuff like that. And it's just like, going here, we have like a shop here and there that sells them for extraordinary prices, and over there it's cheap because they have surplus of it.
Right.
It's like, why can't we have that stuff here? I want
Right.
it here.
I think it's just because, their population centers are a little bit more dense than we are, so they don't have to be as spread out. We're over here, we're super spread out. And really, I'm not even sure if we went to St. Louis. I mean, I haven't looked in St. Louis or Kansas City if they even have a huge arcade out there. I imagine maybe they do because they have a lot of the features and stuff we don't have, like, like a miniature market for board games. They have one of those in St. Louis and Kansas City, so, we don't have stuff like that.
Well, they have a Dave and Buster's out there, at least in Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
well,
most major U.S. cities, they have one.
Right. So I mean, there is that. We're kind of in the middle. We're not a huge metropolitan, but we're not a small city, but we're not a huge St. Louis or Kansas City style. I mean, it's we don't have that big of a selection. I mean, so it's arcades. I mean, I would love to have an arcade here, but we do have some, and I don't. I'm guilty of not participating in as much. We have 1984 here, and they swap out arcade cabinets, but they deal mostly with they deal I should say, exclusively with the retro stuff. They don't do anything new.
Yeah, they don't bring in. You ain't gonna see Lethal Enforcers 5.
Yeah,
I
you
would
gotta
still
see-
go there. I've never been there. I
Oh.
really want to go. I've never
I
been
cannot
there
believe you
yet.
haven't been there, dude.
Oh, guys, I know what we
Well,
need to
see,
be
I
doing.
mean,
Should
maybe
be
after
going
all
there.
this is, yeah, maybe after all this is done, we can make that little pact of going up there for a day or something like that. But
Yeah, after the
Springfield's
COVID and
notorious.
stuff,
Springfield's notorious for killing those type of industries for
they
some
are.
reason. Because I don't know why, but I remember when I was younger, we had barcades. There was tons of barcades here,
Yep.
and they're gone. The last one was downtown, and I probably went into that 5 years ago, and a year later they were closed. I think a year after that, and I'm like, I mean, who doesn't want to go get a beer and play all you want free arcades as long as you're drinking a beer, a barcade?
Right.
But
As long as you're buying alcohol, they're like play
But-
as long as you'd like.
I guess there's not enough money in that because they couldn't.
No,
keep
it's
the machines
because
repaired.
they,
Well,
Springfield wants to kill
You
all
have to
the
replace
fun.
all the buttons.
Springfield wants to kill all the fun. That's the thing.
It's you got to remember, Springfield. There's three things you hit on every corner: a bank, a bar, or a
And
church.
don't forget food. We have food on every
And the
corner.
bars are going, yeah, and the bars are going away, and you still have some of the traditional ones, but yeah, and you get more restaurants. But I mean, do you know why the original Chuck E. Cheese went out of business here back in the late '80s? People were going there and selling drugs to kids in the damned arcade. Mom and dad's in there sucking down, garbage pizza. Kids in there, freaking snorting coke off of some dude and freaking out.
so let's bring this one back just
But-
a little bit now.
Uh,
So another game that I just remember I thought about was Kung Fu. The one with the sticks where
Fu?
you like go up and you go down and you like that one, the original Kung Fu. That one was an awesome one. I played the heck out of that one. That one was definitely one of my more
I mean,
favorite ones.
if we all talk about the classics. There's Galaga. There's freaking Donkey Kong. I mean, there's tons of stuff that we.
Yeah.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
There's
There's the punching
One
machine.
one of my favorites was Double Dragon. We used to walk across this field to a truck stop, and me and my brother. None of my brothers were gamers like me, and this is like one of the few games that we all
Right.
play together. We drop quarters in, and I'd be Billy, and he'd be Jimmy, and we'd be the Lee brothers, and that was great.
Which one I would always love playing too was Daytona USA. Loved playing
racing
Daytona
game.
USA in the arcade.
Golly, that one there.
I remember
that's
it was
hilarious.
Cruising USA was the one I played a lot.
Yeah,
Cruising
And
USA,
Cruising
yeah.
USA.
And they have
Incredible Pizza
motorcycles.
actually has the newest version of Cruising. It's
Oh,
like
nice.
Cruising. What was it? I can't remember. I played it last time I was there. It's
Cruising
something.
COVID.
It was something like
That's
that.
what it is now.
But,
That's the
Yeah.
DLC.
or like the MotoGP games where you
Yes.
get on the bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
Those
bike
were really
moves.
fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were really cool. Play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless you were that one skinny kid, you didn't have enough butt on
you
you.
gotta have your friends
That
get on the
bike,
side of
you
you
know.
so they can push it.
Come on.
They can
Or
push me.
San Francisco Rush. Remember they had the keypad that you could put in your
Yep.
pad, or you could put in your pin, so that when we came back to the same arcade,
Remember?
You
Yeah.
get high
you
scores
could
and
restart
stuff.
Keep
your
your progress.
keep your progress and stuff. And that with I think they also had a jet ski game.
Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Anything that you can ride on or sit in, they had all kinds of stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, they did.
I remember there was the one that had the F-14s in it, where you could basically sit in, like you got in. It was open
that
on
was
the sides.
it's that was the like the original Air Combat. Like it was
Right.
either Ace Combat or Air Combat. Oh my gosh! Like and
Yeah.
yeah, you had the oh my goodness
Yeah.
gracious! I probably dropped thousands of dollars on that one. For those that don't know, I love air simulators, and that one there, man, I was like all up in that one. That one was there was no truth to the game, but boy, when you got that lock on, man, you were like just letting go of the missiles. You were like, woo, good times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Good times.
anything with a flight stick on it back in the day.
yeah,
was
but I
good.
remember that one because it was like it was like two-seater. I don't know why it was two-seater because there was only one controller in there, but it was like open on the sides, but it was
Yep.
enclosed for all the way from back to front.
And you
just
had
get in,
the-
had the acoustics. Yeah, yes, the cockpit stuff.
So you could show off to your girlfriend
Right.
you're flying.
Yeah.
So
You're like,
check it out, baby. I'm Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
she'd be like, "Let me show you how to use that stick."
Whoa.
Tom Cruise did.
She's gonna be like, "I'll be Tom Cruise and you be Goose." but yeah, I mean, those are gone nowadays. I mean, over here in the USA, I should say, especially in our neck of the woods. Maybe in the bigger metropolitans, it's not, but we don't live in a bigger metropolitan because I I remember being in small towns when I was a kid growing up, but there was always an arcade within distance because we'd ride our bikes to arcades. But it kind of seems like those are now relegated to the larger cities, if they still are. I mean, like I said, I haven't looked, and when I go to Kansas City or St. Louis, I don't make a plan to go to the arcade. Um, I should because
You
that's
should.
something
I should too,
I
because
mean,
I don't do the same thing. But I'm like, maybe I should do that.
maybe we need to look when we're going to go up there for Geekway
Yeah,
in
maybe.
October, see if
See if there's an
an
arcade close by.
Yeah, just give
Yeah.
it a shot because
Got to make time.
oh, I
You
mean,
know,
we're
the
gonna go
one
up-
thing that every arcade still seems to have this day that I still love playing:
Skee-Ball
air hockey.
air hockey.
Love air
Oh
hockey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers and scars
Yep.
to
Till
prove
you
it,
get
right?
to that one.
Till that
You get
puck
that one
hits you
spot on
right in
the
the
table that's
knuckle,
dry.
and you're like, yeah, this is fun.
Or you're
Yep.
or you're flinging the guard around and you just let it loose and it flies across the table.
Yep. Yep. My mom still has
Yep.
a scar.
Yeah, because nobody ever held it by the center. I mean, I always held it like on the edge and just
No.
Oh
swinging
yeah,
it,
that's yeah.
and that
Yeah.
sucker just flies off the table with the
Yeah.
felt.
Only amateurs hold
and-
it in the middle.
That's a rookie move.
You gotta get your fingers out there, you know. That's how
Yeah.
you get the real immersion.
Yeah.
That's where they put the new felt on it. It's like
Yeah.
super slick. It's like, phew.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and foosball and all that stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, it was just there's nothing.
Another one, that was bigger in the 90s was the dang bowling and golf one. You with the little ball in the
Oh,
middle.
yeah.
I was getting ready to say that. That's probably one of the arcade's worst kept secret, or not worst kept secret, but worst designs ever. Because the golf games and the bowling games always were broke. Because you'd have those jack wagons and they're just, and that sucker
Yeah,
just,
golden tee.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, the golden tee, and
Golden
yeah,
tee,
and
yeah.
that was in like
That
every
ball.
bar. That was in like every bar.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just sitting there, just hammering on that thing, and you're just like, yeah, you're gonna break that.
Yeah.
It,
You go to the owner and you're like, when did you get this game in? Oh, we've had it here for like 6 months. Oh, I'm not playing it. I'm good. Then never mind.
but yeah,
Yeah, there's got no telling what's in it, what's on it, or
well,
what's
but,
I mean-
well,
it would have to be clean because that thing only would last a couple of weeks. It's
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was good times.
yeah. Especially at the truck stop. Guy ain't seen a woman in a while, and that thing's just sitting there.
Oh, this.
But yeah, I don't know what to do though. I mean, I wish, part of me wishes that arcades were more prevalent, but I don't usually participate in the ones that we have here. But I will say that I don't want to go to Incredible Pizza just to play the arcade. I
Well-
feel awkward if I go in there just for the arcades. I'm like, I'm not gonna eat. I'm gonna go to the arcade.
I don't care about that. But my whole reason, I
Yeah.
don't care if I eat Incredible Pizza if I don't go in there to eat. Because if I'm going to go play the arcades, that's what I'm going to do. And they have a package for that, right?
Yeah.
They have a no-eat, go-play package. So, they're expecting people just to go in and be able to play. The only problem I have with, especially around places right around here, and I'm not saying for 1984 because I haven't been there, but for some of the other places that do have arcades, and the reason why I don't partake is because they just don't get the new arcades in, right?
Oh yeah.
The last time I went there, if I go again, it's going to be the same arcades I've already played.
Yeah.
And so, even though they're great arcade games, I don't really, I that's the thing I loved about Aladdin Castle and what was the other one in the mall that came out a little later?
Yeah, Entertain Zone or something like that.
Entertainment Zone or something like that.
Something
They
like that,
they
yeah.
got newer arcade machines, and so it was cool to go in, a month later or so and check out what the new arcades were in play. But nowadays, especially for us, we go around these arcade places that have arcades, and it could be month, 2, almost a year later, and they're going to still have the same arcade machines.
Yeah.
And it's like I've already played the crap out of these. I spent so many quarters, I don't want to spend any more. I
Well,
want
now
newer arcades.
And now they don't even do the quarters anymore. It's you get the
Right, it's the
plastic
cards
card,
now.
and you say,
Card.
I want to put $10 on there. And
Well, I
some of
remember
the-
when Incredible Pizza opened, you could put $20 in and spend all day at Incredible Pizza.
Yeah.
Now you put $20 in, it's like 4 arcades, and that's
Yeah.
it. That
Well,
$20 is gone.
And I've noticed,
If you're
and what's
lucky.
funny too is that some of the arcades have gone away from being like $1 or 50 cents or $1.25, and they'll be like $1.09, and you're like, what? It's all a
What? Yeah.
scheme to get you to leave money on the card. because
Yeah.
the company that manages those, if it's not used within like so many months, they shut the card off and they recoup the
Keep the
change.
change.
So you're leaving something on there, and to me that's shady. And in the place to do that, it's like, come on. If this game's going to be $1.20, where's the 80-cent game that I can get the rest of my 80 cents off my card?
Yeah. Oh no, sir! You have to add additional
Right.
money to that,
You're like, can I put 20 cents on here then so I can
and you're
play
gonna,
that?
yeah, yeah, and you're never gonna go up there and say, yeah, I want to put $19.73.
Right. So I can play this game, and they cost 73 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, and
it's funny
bull.
because I remember being a kid and arcades used to take quarters, and then they moved away from quarters into tokens, and then and now they're moved over to plastic cards where you just swipe your card and put your card in the machine while you're playing it. And I mean, to some extent, it does save time and money because you put the card in the machine, and if you're earning points, it goes on the card instead of spitting out all the tickets. Like when we were kids, you used to get the big roll of tickets, and you'd be like, "What can I buy with this fat wad of tickets? One troll doll." All right.
Yeah.
A
And
plastic
a
spider
ruler.
ring.
There it
Plastic.
is. There it is.
I
You used to
still
have
got
the troll doll pencil topper.
Yep.
Troll
Yep.
dolls
Yep.
were popular when I was a kid.
Right. Rub the jewel.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely something. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't miss. I mean, I miss the sounds, the smells. Well, maybe not smells, but the
The
overall
smells were mixed,
experience
man.
of
The
an
smells were
arcade.
mixed. some days it
Bubble
smell
gum-
like
bubble
popcorn
gum
and
and
pizza. Other
preteens.
days it smell like throw up. So just
Right.
But it's an amazing thing. Back in the day, you walk in and like you were saying, it's a babysitter. But back then, parents, I wouldn't say didn't care. They just didn't worry
Right.
as much. And my parents knew me. I wasn't gonna go anywhere. They gave me money. I'm not leaving till I run
I'm
out of
hunting
money.
them down when I run out of money, so they know I'll come find
That's
them.
right.
I'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
I need $10 more.
Don't you wish as a kid you would have known to
Father.
be like, hey, do you guys want to hang out and have a few more beers? Just give me another $10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When my parents were in Vegas and they had me and my younger brother, this is back when they barely had that family-friendly thing starting to pick up. And they had a hotel there, and then they had a little kids section where kids could learn the fine art of losing your money. You go in there, you play a slot machine. You could win a sticker or a troll pencil, whatever. Mostly you never did. They want you to understand this is Vegas. You don't get
Right.
shit. But even that I kind of miss.
Well-
I just it's the experiences of the arcade, meeting your friends, hooking up with that one girl there, letting her win or something.
Take a date. I remember going on dates when I was a kid, and that was you'd take your date to the arcade. You'd be like, you're 13 years old. You ask your parents to drop you off at the arcade so you can go on your date. As a kid.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and stuff
And
like
you've
that.
practiced your
And it-
skee ball all night before so that you can get her the stuffed animal. You're like I'm practicing on this so I can get her the stuffed animal because I only got $12.75 and I need at least 1,200 tickets. So I got to do this. Here we go.
You're learning their claw machine.
And Russ, how are you practicing this at home by yourself? Ready for your date?
Golf
remember-
balls,
I
golf
remember
balls,
going there
and making a little thing.
I mean, you would always learn the claw machines. I mean, that's what I would do at the arcade.
Yep.
You would try to impress your girlfriend.
yeah.
You'd be like, "I'm gonna go there," and you'd learn
Get her a
Yep.
you would
teddy
learn how their
bear.
claw machine worked and the grip strength and the timing, and you'd be like, "All right, I can
Yep.
get that one or that one or that one."
Yeah.
So you could get something for a couple
Yeah,
bucks,
yeah.
And you'd be like
without-
strategically walking in the place, and the first thing you do is look over there, and you're like, "Oh man, that teddy bear is perfect right there." Hey, baby, you want something right now? Because you don't want to wait because you're
Right.
afraid that somebody else is going to tilt that thing the wrong way where you can't get it. I mean,
Right.
so
Bump it just
yeah,
right.
use $1.50
Oh, yeah.
getting it, big whoop de doo. You got to give some suspense. Oh, I missed it the first time, honey. The second time you get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, she'd be like, "Oh, can you win me that?" And you're like pulling out, "I got $10, baby. We got this. We got all night." You spend that $1.50, and you still got all that change left to last you another few hours. Now she'd be like, "Can you win me that?" I only got
You needed
$10.
that. You needed it because that $10 was for all night. That's $1.25 for a pizza and a soda later.
Yep.
Slice of pizza
Right.
and a soda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and those claw machines.
and it was good
Those
pizza.
claw machines, you would look, exactly what Russ said. You would look at each claw machine to see which one had that bear or whatever it was in the right place. Same thing with the quarter machines. The machines that drop quarters and then you win tickets. You look, okay, which ones have a bunch of quarters bunched up at the
Oh
edge.
yeah.
Okay, I can just drop a few in here and that's going to push that right over.
Yeah.
I'll have a whole stack
Like,
of them.
all I got is 75 cents left in the night. Hold on, let me go look at the coin machine. I think I could do
That's
this.
where everybody
I
went.
could do this.
Get yourself a couple more dollars worth of quarters.
Yeah. Or you'd lose the
Yeah.
3/4. I mean, there were some times, I'm not gonna lie, I lost all 3/4. I'm like, dang it, now I'm out of money.
When it drops wrong, when it pops down and
it
it
bounces.
flips right on top of the quarters, you're like, dang it, no, I need to go behind him.
Son of
Then you
a.
go running around the arcade
yeah.
looking for errant quarters on the floor or somebody
Yeah.
left behind.
Well, the greatest thing was like when you would go buy the stuffed animal machine, and it didn't matter what it was. It could be like a gecko or a, I don't know, like a Tickle Me Elmo doll. It wouldn't matter. If you could grab it and get it, you're the winner. So just get it and be happy with it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Damn thing could be
Yeah.
missing in the eye.
Like, I got it.
Won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss that. I mean, I honestly do miss the arcade stuff because those were just fun little time wasters and hangout stuff. And I'm not a huge. The only thing I can equate it to in adulthood, and I'm not a. I don't like gambling. I can't go to a casino and have fun. It's just, to me, it's just not fun. I've gone to the casino a few times. I've won my fair share, but I've also lost my fair share. But every time I've ever gone to a casino, I walk in there, I'll budget and say I'm going to go $100. And the first time I went to a casino was in like Tunica, Mississippi, with some friends, and they were like, just bring some money. So I took $100 for a weekend. That was a mistake because $100 didn't last me a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking out $300 to play, but I ended up winning my money back. But still, I felt like crap to do that. So that's the only thing I can equate it to as an adult, because you're just wasting your money, but I'm not getting any enjoyment out of that, because at the end of that weekend, I won my money back and I stayed on the penny slot so I can get free drinks for the last day that we were there. And they don't come around.
Yeah,
They don't come around with drinks that often when you're in the penny and nickel slot area.
No. No, there's a poster on your way to St. Louis, or a billboard. I remember years back driving along, and you see this guy on a billboard, and he's got these 2 penny rolls in his hands with the biggest old smile, and the ad says, "We now have penny slots," and he's all smiling, but the guy in his head is like,
How much can I
man.
drink on this?
yeah,
It's still only $2, but
Right.
hey.
but you can drink. You can drink per afternoon on that $2.
Yeah.
Well, Vivian likes to go to the casino.
for
I just
me-
go to the bar. I'm like, I'll wait till you're done.
I don't.
yeah,
It's funny to think about that. I can't gamble because it feels. I feel like I'm losing. It doesn't matter if I'm winning or not. It all feels like I'm just throwing my money in the trash can. But when I was saying as a kid, I guess it wasn't my money, but when I did get a job, I still played, but I threw my parents' money in the trash can, I guess. I played a lot of arcades, but
Yeah.
it never felt that way. I was getting something.
You're getting a return service.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting a return service. I mean, even if it is a time waster or something like that, it's an enjoyment. It's like going to a baseball game. I mean,
Right.
everybody,
a
most
guilty
everybody
pleasure.
here. I mean, this group of guys are such sports fanatics here that we have on this podcast that, if you guys were forced to buy a ticket to go watch a game, you'd be like, you probably wouldn't do it. But at the same time, at least you're getting a service out of that rather than just nothing. I mean, unless
Well,
it's the Missouri
I'm not-
State
I'd
Bears,
rather spend
and
$100 on an
you're going to waste
arcade
your money on that.
than a casino.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah, but arcade to us, to this kind of group, like you're saying, it is a sports event. It is,
Yeah.
some people go to bars and they watch the sports
Yeah.
on the TV. We go to these places. That's our Kansas City
Yeah.
Chiefs or our St. Louis Cardinals or whatever, and that's our happy place.
I mean, I guarantee you that you're not spending any more money doing video games than that guy who is a Kansas City Chiefs fan who has 2 jerseys, who has to buy the NFL Prime package so that you can get all. You're right. I mean, there's definitely, to each his own and everything like that. But to kind of round it back to like the arcade games and stuff like that, everybody has that one story. I'm not going to go really super in depth here, but like I can remember my sister went into the Air Force. Oh man, this was like 86 or 87 or something. She tried to go in the Air Force. And during her training, we went up and visited her in Illinois. I can't remember where it's at exactly, but they had a Donkey Kong machine there. And I think I probably put $5 in it, and it was the first time I ever truly beat an arcade game. It was like the very first time. Like everybody remembers that first time, and it was like, and no pun intended there. It was just like, oh man, it was so cool to play that game and to do that. I remember that more than I remember. I think my sister was graduating from something or something or other. I remember it for the trip that I went and I beat Donkey Kong. Or
I
like,
don't remember what he was there
yeah,
for, except for something to do with your sister.
exactly.
Right.
There's nothing sweeter than the roll of the
Yeah.
cards. When you
Yeah,
beat
there's
it.
nothing.
No matter where
There's
it's
nothing
at.
better than being able to go to an arcade and have enough money to just keep playing it to the end.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you die, you're just like, okay, I got more quarters and just keep popping them in here, and you keep playing. And yeah, I remember being a few arcades like that. Just had like you got $20 worth of quarters, and just had a whole row just waiting to stick them in there so I can keep going and beat a game. So yeah, that's always, especially when you're at the arcades, it's always a blast to have. Um,
It
I
was
remember the old arcade, the Jurassic Park arcade. Remember that one?
Oh, good Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's old. That's old as dirt.
But now that we're old enough to be able to do that, the arcades are gone.
Yeah.
Now that
Right.
we're old enough to take
Yeah,
$20.
and that's what really sucks. We have more disposable, cash for those things, and it's like,
All right, I want that.
that's why I think we should all get together, find like St. Louis, Kansas City. We'll take the women with us. We'll drop them off to shop at I don't know, Walmart, and then we'll all hit the arcade for the day, and then we might pick them back up at Walmart.
Give them some Walmart money.
enjoy
Give them
the
some
day.
Walmart money. Go.
Walmart money, baby.
I'm sure they have a mall around there.
Right.
They'll last longer in the mall.
No. That's expensive.
Yeah.
That's not
Walmart's
funny.
cheaper, Nick.
Yeah.
They might have a Kmart.
Kmart.
The last standing Kmart.
Right. Yeah. Enjoy this trip. It's a historical event. It's the last Kmart.
That's right. That's right. It's like Mount Rushmore for
You
shopping.
walk in the door and a tumbleweed rolls by.
Right. It's like it's kind of like that smell of death in Sears when you walk into Sears and you're like, when is this place going down?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like there's like 2 racks of clothes as you walk in the door and you're like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of space here.
Yeah,
Oh,
but,
yeah. They got
arcades, I was going to say,
Go ahead,
arcades, they used to be a big solo thing. And then as I got older, I like to go with my friends because you'd be playing with your friends and you're all crowded around your buddy who's whooping the crap out of some arcade. And you're just like egging him on, and stuff like that. So it became more of a group activity as we got older because when I was younger, it was just like, I want to play this and I'm going to go do this. And then, as I started hanging out with more friends who got the same kind of hobbies I did, we would always go there. We would always start with the classics. 4 of us would hop on Ninja Turtles, and then the few of us would go jump on Golden Axe, and start playing that.
Yep.
Until I got tired of it, and so now that's gone. The arcade scene is kind of gone, so we kind of gravitated to another group activity, which is board games. We board game now in lieu of that. I mean, because if I could afford to have MAME cabinets in my basement, I would have some MAME cabinets, but I just can't afford to. I can't afford the cabinets themselves. I can build MAME machines all day long to do arcades, but I just can't afford the cabinets and the controls and all that stuff. But I would love to have a Ninja Turtles arcade and a Golden Axe arcade game in my basement, but I can't see spending a few $1,000s on those because that's what it's going to cost me to get a cabinet.
and the one up machines are fun.
I don't like them.
They really are, but they are missing the arcade experience because of their size. They really are. The one I have is it's got 4 games on there. They're all 2-player. And me and Nick have played side by side, and it's fine. We're not rubbing uglies against each other. There's just enough room, but you are
There's not enough room
missing
for me to
that-
squeeze in there and get that
experience.
third one, and then Russ to get in that
Exactly.
4th controller.
You're still
I'm
on
not
each
in
other's
on that
lap.
part. Party.
Well, Russ might have to do like a
I
reach
am
around.
not in on that party.
But they have like the 4-player Ninja
Right.
Turtle game, and I would love it. I truly would. I want my
Right.
kids to experience. I mean, they've done it on the Xbox.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not. I would love to have their the 1-up version because
Any
they're
game is
small,
not the
it'll
same
work
as it
plenty
is on the
well.
arcade.
No.
Regardless, I mean,
Mhm.
playing it on a console is just not the same experience as playing it on an arcade machine.
That's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's something about that joystick and the button just hammering it out, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
Oh my gosh,
so
it just reminded me of track and field.
right? Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was a trick. You bring a little ruler and you put it between your fingers and you tap
Yeah.
that ruler and it
Yeah.
whip-whacks between
Yeah.
each. Yeah, buddy.
Oh,
I was breaking
it was like the
scores.
hurdles. You're like,
Yep.
golly. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so
How
but
does
yeah,
an arcade game make me sweat?
right. But now that we've gone, but like arcade games are gone, so now we're having to relegate ourselves to the other group hobbies that we can do, like we said, board games. We board game and stuff like that. So they, I hated that they're gone, but I just don't see how any of them can make any money. I mean, because like 1984, just so they can make money, they charge like they can't. They don't say it's a free for all. You just put quarters in. They say we charge by the amount of time, and here's the fees for those amount of times. And the fees include everything except like pinball. Anybody who's ever worked on or owned a pinball machine knows those things are maintenance nightmares. You can't even really get a lot of the solenoids anymore and stuff like that for them, or if you can, they're outrageously expensive. So they keep those as a cash-based machine because they use that for the maintenance dollars on those. But even at what they charge, I don't know I haven't been in there in years, but they used to charge $5 for like a few hours or something like that, which was cheap. If you can get 2 hours out of $5, I mean that's a pretty good deal of hanging out and just doing nothing and playing games.
And they have
They
a
did.
lot. They have a whole lot. They have two
They have
floors.
2 floors now. When I went, they were just a single side section
Mhm.
of area. So now they're back. Well, yeah, because they had the arcade upstairs where the pinball's upstairs.
Yeah, and then you go downstairs from the entrance all the way to the right.
Yeah.
There's a downstairs path, and it's. I mean, I haven't been there for a couple of years. It was like a school. One of the kids had a birthday or something, but Daddy better take them to this one. Shit. And the kids are like, party's
But-
over.
but yeah, I mean,
Shane's
then we
like
had-
that. Like, I gotta check out all the arcade machines, so it'll be a minute, kids.
Yeah.
But then we had barcades,
Oh, yeah.
and like I said, I miss the barcades because you could go in and get a picture of beer, and they had arcades, and they also had console games. Like the one that was downtown the last time I remember had console games. They had like what reminded me of the old '80s style sunken couch in the floor, the round one, like the old round one. And they had
Mhm.
basically the round one, and they had like an Xbox pit and a PlayStation pit, and I can't remember if they had a Nintendo pit or not, but they had like 4 consoles in every pit because you basically sat on a round couch and you had 4 directions, and you would get a beer and a controller and go sit in the pit, so
Yeah. There's nothing like the live experience of playing it.
right.
I mean, online is fun and it's great. It's very handy, but it's just not the same. It really isn't.
Right.
I wanna see you guys getting ticked off because somebody snuck a peek at your screen and found out where you're hiding and jacked you and teabagged you. I mean, you don't get that
Or
experience.
you elbow your buddies
You
while
don't
you're
get
playing
that
Ninja
experience.
Turtles so he dies.
Yeah.
Stop kicking me, Shane.
Well,
Well, it's like-
but even the increase in graphics. I mean, Patrick's saying that you're a graphic snob. Like, I mean, those games that have the upgraded hardware in it now are expensive. They are. I mean, to put a mini Xbox into one of those racks. I mean, it's really tough for them to be able to process. And we do have the processors within it, but they're more expensive. And so, I mean, maybe that's why they're not as prevalent here because people don't want to make that kind of investment for it.
Well,
I think that's a part of it is definitely cost. I mean, but I think it's a cultural thing. It's
Maybe.
just plain simple. I think it's a lot of culture. Japan has been a steady. It's been a steady part of their diet for generations. My kids know games, but they don't know arcades.
Yeah.
They don't have that experience of awesomeness of the sounds and the smells and the laughters and the yelling. And
Well, maybe that's what we put out there in this world. More arcades in the U.S.
well, I mean,
more arcades, less.
I mean, it's just you got to have the market for it, and and unfortunately, whether you believe it or not, or this is just what I believe. I mean, consoles and PC gaming have basically are putting an end to that because it's convenient. I mean, I can have my PC,
Yes.
my console, and I don't have to get out of the house. And that's what happens with a lot of people is you're just like, okay, I could just go home and play my games. I don't have to go, I don't have to go out and mingle with people because that's, the worst experiences.
People are terrible.
The worst experience you have when gaming, um, when arcade gaming was just trying to get time on a popular arcade game when I was a kid. I remember you would go in there and when the Star Wars game came out, there would be a line of people waiting to get on that thing, and they had like 2 copies of it. There's 2 cabinets, and you're 3 people deep waiting in line. I'm like, I don't want to wait in line, but I want to play it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could equate that to a classic car, an old car. When I was 16, 17, I had an old Chevy Chevelle, birdcrap white top, snot green body. And when I got my next car, it's like, oh, this is nicer. This is much nicer. But now that I'm older, it's like, man, I wish I had. That was so much better, than any of the other vehicles I had. It wasn't something you appreciated because you had the new thing, the convenient thing. Oh, this one's got power steering. This one's got air conditioning. And to me, the arcades, they were that more primitive form, but they were the better way to play when I look back. I mean, I would rather sit in an arcade with you three, laughing, drinking Coke, eating pizza, than playing over the internet. In my opinion.
well, that's why we board game now.
Give me my Chevy
That's why we board
Chevelle.
game now. So
Yeah.
because it's the hangout and goof off and
Yeah.
run amok like we're still 5 years old.
Yeah. That's true. Is there any other games anybody could think about?
Oh God!
I was going to
there's
ask.
a million.
I think that one that they had at Andy B's wasn't that Star Wars Pod? Wasn't that what that one was called? Like Star Wars
They
Pod?
did have the Pod Racer arcade machine. I don't
Well,
know
not
if
the
any
Pod
has it or
Racer.
not.
Yeah,
It was
I don't-
like
I was there the other day, and I don't think that is the pod.
it wasn't the Pod Racing. I think it was called Star Wars Pod or something, Pod Wars or something weird like that. I'm trying to look it up here because I can't remember what it was called, but it wasn't Pod Racer. You got inside of this thing, and it was. I thought you were in an X-wing or something like that.
I can see your credit card information in the glare of your eyes.
Yeah, if I could afford to buy it, I would buy it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's the same thing with anything like the Time Crisis, Time Crisis 5, and all those other games that are just new. If I could afford it, I would get it, but where would I put it? After there are huge cabinets, so where am I going to put this $2,000 cabinet?
Move your kid out.
Use our whole room. It's my arcade. Room's always 110 degrees in there because there's 10 arcades in a small building.
Right.
Just one chair in the middle of the group. Just turn
Yeah.
it.
Well, and you think about that too.
But-
When I was a kid, there wasn't chairs in the arcade. You stood.
Mm-mm.
You didn't freaking get an dang chair.
Yeah.
That's right. You were healthier playing games back
I mean,
Hell,
I'm
yeah.
sure there's got to be a Pizza Hut somewhere around here that still has a Pac-Man console, like one of those sick.
I'm more surprised there's a Pizza
I mean, it's
Hut.
gotta
I'm
be
sure.
a
I'm
Pizza
sure
Hut.
there was one with Pac-Man. Remember the holographic ones that was it Time
Oh,
Traveler?
gosh,
Yes, the
yeah.
Western one.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid if
Oh,
that
yeah.
screen gets distorted at all. I mean, then you're like, what did I eat before I start playing this game? Because I am tripping right now. Because it is just those are things were
That
hilarious.
game was
Or some
hard.
idiot kid walks by and sticks his hand in there. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Well, they had the bubble around it, so you couldn't
Yeah.
do that. But
Mhm.
and they had that Western arcade. Was it Time Traveler or something like that?
Yeah, you're going through
Yeah,
different
different
periods
periods
of time. It had the little
Yeah.
cube. Yeah. All right, how about Dragon's
Well,
Lair?
of course, that's
everybody.
that game was hard
Everybody
as
had their
crap though.
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
never
quarter
beat it.
munching machine. Dragon's
Yeah, it is.
Lair is.
I could have put all my kids through college and had 2 more kids for what I dropped.
Heaven
And there was
forbid
also,
if you're just a second, like a millisecond late on that thing.
Right. One game that was exactly like it was what was it? Space Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Space Ace, that's
It
right.
was basically the same thing as Dragon's Lair.
Mhm. Yep, try to use your peripheral visions to catch that little flash of
Yeah.
light.
Right.
And going through freaking seizures on
I
that
found
thing.
it, guys. It's Star Wars Battle Pod. That's what it was,
All right.
Mm.
and it came out in 2014.
Uh,
And yeah, it's basically like,
doesn't it have? Doesn't it have like a few different
yeah, you can fly
uh,
like, yeah, you can
types
do
in
like
there?
fly X-wings, a Millennium Falcon. You can do the Hoth battle where
Hmm.
you know, you do the anchor, the AT-ATs and
Yep.
stuff like that.
But that there alone, I mean, that's a what you said, 15. That's almost a 7-year-old game. I mean, it's six
Right.
7-year-old game, 14, something like that. I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
Well, they're still trying to pay
Right.
it
I
off.
think I think when I read that thing cost $35,000 for one
Yeah.
of those. For one of those, $35,000. It's a two-player though. I mean, the battle pod was a pod on each
Oh
side,
well,
but
yeah.
still
Well,
$35,000 for that thing.
that's only $17,500 a
hey,
piece,
let's do
guys.
this. Come on,
But
lottery.
it does seem like, you know, when you look at the arcades that are coming out still, they're still put on by a few popular, like Bandai Namco is still huge in the arcade industry,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
And then,
Oh yeah. I mean, that's still their
yeah,
bread and
I
butter.
mean, they do a lot of that too. Bandai Namco and then Sega are huge into the arcade market still. But,
Yeah.
you know, I'm still a little bitter though, because I wish Sega would bring back a console or they'd start making games again, like better games for the other consoles. I want some more
Yeah.
Sega
I
classics.
want a new Dreamcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You know, wasn't there rumoring a Dreamcast Mini or
I
something
think they were
like
talking
that?
about Dreamcast Mini, but I don't know what ever happened
Yeah,
with it.
and I would. Well, the problem is the Dreamcast Mini. If they could put every game on there that released on a Dreamcast, 25 games, maybe 30. So I'm
I don't
okay
remember how many
with it
games came out,
because
but
there
yeah,
was some
yeah,
great games.
There was
it
a
would
lot of
definitely
great
be
games
cool
on Dreamcast.
Yeah,
before its time.
but yeah, but nothing beats the arcades. Nothing will beat the arcades.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we could drop the women off at Walmart and head over to one.
I mean, I went to Nick's kid's
I'm
birthday
always
party
ready.
just so I can go to the arcade.
Oh,
When you
that's
had
right.
the
Yeah.
Incredible
What was-
Pizza.
Oh yeah, we went to Cripple. Yeah,
Briar had her birthday at Incredible Pizza. I'm like,
yeah.
my
Played
Incredible
all
Pizza.
sorts of arcade games there. That's where they had the new Cruising
Yeah.
USA.
Yeah.
It wasn't Cruising USA. It was Cruising something.
Yeah.
I remember I played. Dropped a few quarters
Yeah, I
or
remember.
slide a few card slides in
Few
that
swipes.
Yeah.
one. I was like,
They
"Ooh,
got
a
the-
new Cruising."
You know, and you know, arcades always used to have. I guess they don't really call them arcades anymore. They call them entertainment complexes because even like Andy B's is an entertainment complex and Incredible Pizza's entertainment because they have more than arcade. They usually have
Yeah.
the VR.
Everything else is boring.
They usually have VR and laser tag. I mean, I played a lot of laser tag back in my day.
Yeah, I played laser tag back in the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, but laser tag down there at the Andy B's is a joke, man. I went down there with the kids and they're like, let's play it. I'm like, okay. There's like two other weird random kids and it's like, all right, we started over here, they started over there. And they just run and they just keep shooting you right behind you and they just keep shooting. I don't even get time to do anything. I mean, I had to beat that kid's ass.
Shane's in the laser tag, swinging his gun, hitting kids. That's why Shane's not allowed in it anymore.
Golly.
Oh, little shit.
Oh, the kids are dragging
with that
themselves
button
out by
gun.
one arm. What happened to laser tag?
All bloody
Somebody
beat.
beat us.
This was laser tag,
But-
not
It's
American
re-
Gladiator.
This is not laser tag. This is real life.
These
That's
have
right.
flashbacks of
That's
Nam.
right. It felt so real. Look, I'm bleeding. But but Andy B's, they do have the VR in there. I want to play it, but I've seen some of the people using that thing, and that's just nasty. Holy crap, that loud.
Right.
But yeah, I want that arcade experience again. I really do. It's just a shame that it never held on. I mean, I could see it kind of dying off a bit because of the the home console
And the
setup,
cost.
but
When you consider
Yeah.
$35,000 for that one cabinet, I mean, they always have one or two of those a year. What they used to, like the stand-up shooters. I think those things were the Area 51s were super expensive too when they came out with the attached guns and the Terminator and all that stuff. Because
Well,
of
even the Time
service.
Crisis had the pedal.
Yeah.
So that's an extra feature or an extra piece because Area 51 and Lethal Enforcers didn't have that stuff, but the Time Crisis had the gun and the pedal that you had to have
Right.
down at the bottom.
So
yeah, sniper scope.
Sniper scope had a giant sniper
right.
scope.
Hey.
Which had,
But
Two
yeah,
of
because they were just you had a few of those a year, but most of them were just the standard cabinet with the 2 to 4 player set up on them.
And a lot of them would rescan the cabinets and they just put new
Right.
cards in.
Yeah.
You know, it was one thing I remember reading. But still, who cares?
Well, yeah, because
I mean-
if I were to build one today, I would just build a generic cabinet and put a pie in there.
They put
Raspberry
new
Pi,
boards in it,
maybe.
then stick new marquees on them.
Yeah.
Every time
Well,
you
I wouldn't
change
even
the
do
game
that
mode.
though. If I was me and I was building one today, which I still want to,
I just put a little screen on the side.
I would just do like a
flashy next game.
1980s theme arcade with a mishmash of a bunch of arcades and skin it that way, and then it would just turn into a main cabinet. So I put a Raspberry Pi in there with a bunch of
Right.
Just let us know when you get it done, built, and we'll
A
do
cabinet is the most expensive piece, and I just
it. He'd be over there. He'd be all right. Here's your card. I give you $5 free, but the
it's on
rest
you.
you're paying.
You got to pay
for.
the maintenance on my machine. I mean, just as an example, like I was looking at a 4-person console, like just the console alone. I'm talking about the buttons and joystick for 4 players for 84-player game, $2,000, just for that part alone. You know, and
Yep.
I'm like, you know,
It's
so
pricey stuff.
it is. I mean, so you would have to build it piecemeal. It'd take me like 5 years to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get a new Raspberry Pi for $50, you know, and put that in there, and then I'd get a CRT2, and then hook all it up to that and call it good. But the cabinet and the controls are going to be your most expensive pieces.
Right.
True. Good deal.
It's a shame everything costs so daggone
Yeah.
Right?
much.
It's too bad none of my friends are woodworkers. They could make me the cabinet, you know.
Yeah. Pitiful
I can
friends.
print it, but it's going to take me a while.
I can print it too in 200 millimeter sections.
That's funny.
Uh,
Good deal.
Anybody else got any other arcades?
But
I mean,
yeah.
Russ, I mean, I cannot. Do you remember the name of the arcade game that was out probably maybe 10 years ago or maybe longer? Wasn't it like X-Wing or TIE Fighter where you actually sat down in there and had like the, I think they even had like a concave screen kind of not completely around you. But I can't remember
It
what
was
that
the
was.
upgrade to Star Wars. They had like whenever when Sith, when Return of the Sith or whatever it was
Right.
came in, or whatever it was. Is it Return of the Sith? Is that episode 3? Yeah.
3.
Yeah, Return of the Sith. That one there. They had that one. They had a TIE fighter. It was like I want to say it was like Interceptor or something like that. I think it was like TIE Fighter Interceptor or something like that. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, it was solid. I mean, but I don't know. Like just sitting here thinking and listening to everybody, the more I think about it is I love the newer games, but I really enjoyed all the classic games for me. Like I mean, if I had the money, I would buy Kung Fu. I would find Tron. I would find Star Wars, and those would be my collections. But again, though, like Patrick was saying earlier, number one, where would I put them? Number two, I mean, I don't know. Are they like? My thought a little bit is that just sitting here listening to the podcast, I was just sitting there thinking like, you know what? Maybe it's just a bygone era. I mean, it was enjoyable. Yes, maybe some other countries have a lot of it, but I enjoyed it. It's a very fond memory for me. But I mean, and I love hanging out with you guys. It's fantastic. But I honestly also like to sit in front of my TV with my controller and
You're
enjoy
lazy boy.
gaming. Like I mean, I don't have to worry about getting, COVID or pink eye from a scope or something like that. But I mean, it's just a thought, like, I mean, I was sitting here thinking about that just for a
You
moment. It's
play
like,
silent scope. You have a
yeah, but
ring
like,
on your-
and then next thing you know, it'd be like game day and we'd be all hanging out playing board games and everybody's like, Russ is in the other room or
Oh.
Shane's in the other room.
Eyes all crusted
Yep.
over.
I'm really surprised with this group that has not happened yet because when we stayed at the board game, I was like, somebody's gonna get pink eye because somebody's gonna fart on somebody's pillow.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that can really cause that
I
is
did.
Shane, but that's why, I stayed in the corner on a couch
That's why you slept on the couch.
that folded out that wasn't folded out until the last night.
Hey, I found it eventually.
I made sure that this hotel had a pull-out couch. It was pull-out.
Nice. Sweet. Awesome.
I was pretty sure the other one did too, but we
Yeah.
didn't find out
we
until
never
last night.
tested it.
Yeah. I mean,
We
first
just,
2
we just
minutes.
laughed at Russ, the tallest one in the group, sleeping on a 2-person. Let's put it. It's not a couch. It's a love seat.
Yeah.
Ev's love seat, yeah.
And
It was
Russ's
that.
feet sticking
Yeah.
up in the air, and his head sticking up.
It's all good. It was good times, but no, I was just thinking about that on the game side of like on the arcade side. I mean, I would go with the guys. I would go and do some arcade, but also I just enjoy the fond memories. I guess maybe the little old man get off my lawn is kind of come into me a little bit in the fact of like I enjoy the console games. I enjoy my PC gaming, and I just wish there was something out there that would come that gave us that same fulfillment and that same enjoyment with the arcade games. It would be really nice if we had something like that. We've had some good games, but at the same time, there's just something different with that fulfillment of those arcade games than it is nowadays.
Well, and I have a philosophy that I usually try to stick to because it has burned me in the past. Is I don't mess with nostalgia. I don't play stuff from my childhood
Yeah.
because it's rose-colored glasses. I
Mhm.
mean, I I don't want to. I don't know if I could go back and play Ninja Turtles because I may ruin it for myself because it's such a great memory. But I'm thinking of it from the 1980s, the late 80s or early 90s me, who was a kid playing 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit graphic games, and now
Mhm.
it's like, and now if I go back to it, I'm gonna be like, what?
I think a game like Ninja Turtles will hold. I think a game like Galaga doesn't. Centipede.
I beg to differ.
And it's just because it's a whole.
I still love
it's a whole
Galaga
two
and
different
Centipede.
things.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
Don't get me wrong,
Galaga is
they're
while you're in the
fun,
bathroom. You're playing Galaga while you're in the bathroom. You're taking care of business there. Yeah,
what you call
Ninja Turtles. I mean, like Patrick said, I think that one would be more hurtful.
Ninja
I think
Turtles.
that would be more hurtful because like you get on there and you play it and you're like, wait a second, I can only really do two moves. I can punch or kick. That's it. I could have
Jump
swore
kick.
jump kick. Like
Jump kick.
it's like I think. I mean, I know what you're saying, Shane, but I just disagree in the sense of like Galaga doesn't matter because it's a classic of a classic, but Ninja Turtles has a special place. Like I would probably own those the arcades. I'd own those arcades I said, but I probably would never play them. I probably just let them sit there because I know that the
Making
minute I
noise.
start playing, the minute I start playing them,
I'm okay with it.
Right. Uh,
I think you would probably play them a little more than you think, but you're probably right. They probably would have more of a static
Yeah.
appeal than they would be something.
absolutely.
But I think I would jump on every chance with one of the kids, using the kids as an excuse to jump on.
well,
I mean, in all honesty, I've got the little one up in here. It's like, Nicholas, come on, let's go. Do some final fight. Okay. Yeah, this is boring. Shut up. Keep playing.
Daddy's reliving his childhood.
But exactly, and a lot of that is sad because it is childhood that it's
Right.
gone.
I would play it a lot.
It's just gone.
Well, Nick, you play old school retro games that make me pull my hair out nowadays.
Yeah, you play everything.
Like, I don't know.
I would play it more.
I don't know if any.
You hate phone games more than anybody, but yet you play them.
Have any
probably
of you
more
guys
than
played
anybody.
next week's game review yet?
I'm loving
Oh,
it
screw you.
so far. But it's a nostalgia feel. It's got a great nostalgia feel. But and normally I would probably agree with you on this one, Pat. But it's more nostalgic to a couple games in that generation that I
I mean, it's cool. It reminds me of a lot
It reminds
of
me
things.
of old school Ninja Gaiden.
Yes, but
So-
it also.
I was thinking
so
Strider.
Are we
Strider.
reviewing the game now, or are we?
We haven't even said what the game is. Nobody knows what the game is. But
We please,
No,
please,
no.
listeners, listen next week.
Ancient Chinese
right,
secrets.
but I'm just saying it's this type of game, and the reason I brought that up is because games were hard when we were kids. I would consider games that we play nowadays, they're not on the same level. And what I mean by that is, you think of some of these on-rail shooters, like any of these on-rail shooters. I'm trying to think of some of the ones from when we were kids, but they had like,
Contra.
yeah, it was.
That's
it was
I was
it
going
all
with Contra too,
basically
Russ.
Still on
Memorization.
rails, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it was side-scrolling.
No, but it's that.
But when you
It's
think about
what
like
Russ was saying.
the space games where you're a ship and you're flying around and you fight
Yeah.
these bosses that just shoot
Mhm.
stuff everywhere all over the screen, you learn the patterns and stuff like that. Games nowadays, they're not really pattern.
Yeah, you're like 1947. Is what you're
Or any of those on rails like games where you're flying back
1942.
and forth and and you're moving around and the boss just like spurts out fire from every direction and you have to go to the bottom right hand of the corner and move up just a half inch so you stand out of his range until he's done and then you move back in and you rinse and repeat and you do all this and that type of stuff and it was like 3 lives and you're done. It's not like continue and continue and continue until you pass.
But every game
It's-
back in
right.
that generation,
Three-
in
and
that
then you have to
age was
restart.
like that, no matter what
It's
style.
my type of game.
Oh yeah.
So then we've gotten
Defender.
spoiled. Then we've gotten just spoiled now because
Defender.
every game has
Save points.
checkpoints, and unlimited restarts. Like I can die 20 times
Oh, yeah.
and I'm still going to be in the same spot I was. If I die in this on-rail shooter 3 times, I don't start back at stage 6 where I was at. I start back at stage 1.
Yeah.
You know, so that type of stuff I'm
Yeah.
spoiled now because I don't have to leave the I don't have to leave the console on and hopefully somebody doesn't unplug it. Before I get to
And that
beat it.
might be a
And you-
different podcast altogether,
Right.
but I like
Cheat codes.
no. I mean, I do and I enjoy both worlds, right? I do like playing those old school games where I do have to start back at level 1 because I feel like I get mad, but I'm just like, all right, let's do this again, and I feel like as I continue to do it, I get better and better. Whereas I feel like a game that saves often, I do like it for the convenience factor, but I'm not getting quite that experience from the earlier portion of the game. The game is just continually letting me progress as slowly as I go. Where I feel like those games that you do have those continues of certain lives. When you start over, you do the level better. You do get through better. You do at the end. You have more lives. You have more continues because you've just gotten better as it's progressed.
Well,
But
yeah, and I just brought that up.
There's an achievement value
But,
in the.
but I just
Right.
wanted to kind of wanted to loop that in there because that's arcades. Arcades are that. I mean, they were designed
Right.
to one
8
session
quarters
play
is what
through.
they were designed
Yeah,
to do.
they were designed to kill you so that you could get off quicker, so that you would, I don't know if they ever used the term because I wasn't big into the arcade, but coins per hour. How many coins per hour can that
Right.
machine make? Like how quickly?
CPH.
Right, like how quickly can that kid die so the next kid can feed it his quarters?
Right.
And
They
and-
did factor that stuff in back in the day.
yeah, but because I forget about stuff like that. I have played the Ninja Turtles game, not in the last 10 years, but not too long ago, and I forgot that there is team damage on there.
Mhm.
I don't remember that much as a kid, but because I rose-colored glasses again, but was playing with
That's
some
right.
buddies, and I'm like, stop kicking me, you're killing me, and then I would die, and I'm like, you killed me,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
that all feeds into that. If you're playing with 4 friends, there's the enemies you got to watch out for, and then you also got to watch out for your buddies' jump kicks.
For your
Or,
Right.
or you'd get
Oh,
that asshat that would come in and put in a quarter and just start kicking you, and you're like, "What's up?" And you're like, "Are we gonna have to squabble right here in front of the whole arcade?" Like, dude, you better give me a quarter now, or this is not gonna go down very well.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah,
Oh yeah, everybody
that
had
creeper
that
that
guy
just came
too.
in
I know the guy you're talking
Yeah.
about because he's trying to take that arcade for him and his.
I'd
buddies.
just take his girl later. That's what I would do. I'd just be like, whatever
Then
girl he
you-
came with, I'd be like, yeah, and then I get their number.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I just wanted to bring
and then
that
you
up
had to shank him with
because
that
that's
pizza.
how arcade games were designed, and that was fun when I was a kid because it's session-based gameplay where it's intended to complete in a session.
Yeah.
Even though Ninja Turtles and a few of those are really long games, it take a lot to get through them, but they're session-based. They're designed to be completed in a single playthrough. Whereas games nowadays, they're not designed that way. We have 40-hour games and 20-hour games where you're not going to sit there and play Sonic the Hedgehog for 20 hours.
Well,
I
Nick
mean, you
will.
could because you suck, but
Well, you think about it, Patrick, too, though. I mean, it's not an arcade machine, but Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
That did have team hurting.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
beat that.
Yeah.
And it was a single session. I think. Did we
I
play
think we
that
broke it
all
down
that
into
one?
two-
I think it was 2 days.
two
'cause we
2-hour
stopped in-
sessions, I think, what we did.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the same idea, and
Right.
it did have team killing. You know, we could beat each other up, so we had to make sure we stayed away from each other. Of course, we weren't
Right.
putting coins into a machine, but it was the same concept as
Exactly.
that old school concept.
And I don't mind that. And like this game that we're playing now may be the same. I've not made it far enough in to see how long gameplay it is. I've not looked anything up because I just wanted to play through it. But I get that sense from it that, like I said, I just brought it up because I get that sense of you die, you learn the pattern, you rinse, you repeat. Because that's what these games and arcades are. Arcades are pattern recognition. You know, no matter what game you play, whether it's Galaga or Space Invaders or any of that stuff, there's a pattern. You know, they go left twice, they go down once, they go right twice, they go down, you know, and then they fire. You know, it's like move once, move twice, fire, down, over twice, fire, you know. And so you would gain that pattern, and you get that pattern recognition. You're like, okay, stage 2-6 has this one, and stage 3-7 has this pattern. So it's all pattern recognition.
I don't think AI.
Yeah.
I don't think AI was even.
No, it was all
thought
pattern
of back then,
based.
so
There was,
that's-
you know, and now games have
Yeah.
AI where characters or enemies are designed to path an area, and they have, you know, they interact with you differently than, you know, what games they had in the past were. So
Yeah.
that's why I would probably, I don't know if I would be as big a fan of arcades as I am now, because I recently played. I got the what I get? I got the Sega Mini, and it came with Golden Axe. That game's freaking hard. I don't remember being that hard as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember getting that game and being like, "Oh, cool! I got the dinosaur." And the objective would be to try to hold on to the dinosaur for the entire map. And I got on there and I'm like, "Oh, cool! I got the dinosaur.
Oh,
I'm just gonna mow through this level." You
2
know,
seconds
I
later.
whacked 2 people, and next thing I know, they knock me off my dinosaur. I hop back on,
Yeah.
and they knock me off again. The dinosaur runs away. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this wasn't that hard when I was a kid.
Damn
Right?
you, Dino!
You're like, I don't remember this being so hard, but
Yeah.
that's a hard game now as an adult. I'm going,
Oh yeah,
and I,
and it's one thing that has spoiled the crap out of us is the ease. I mean, you complain about a game being hard right now. It's nothing compared to, you know, back in the day. Mario, for instance. Mario, the original and 2 were so much harder than any of them we've had in the last, you know, 4 iterations, in my opinion. But, you know, they were pattern based, but they were just hard.
right, and that's the difference. You know, like arcades and stuff like that are set. You know that, you know, Super Mario as an example. I know that block has the vine, and I can climb up on it. It's never going to change.
Yeah.
I know that this block has a coin. I know that block can be busted. I know that this enemy moves this way until he hits the wall, and he comes back this way. And I know this enemy stays on this path, and I just have to jump over him. Those games, that's pattern recognition, which is what today's video games are not pattern-based recognition. I shouldn't say all.
No.
Most of the games that are out that aren't considered retro or classic style games are AI based and not pattern based. So I got kind of spoiled on that. So I don't have to do pattern recognition in video games anymore. I don't have to know. And a perfect example, the current game we have now is that this enemy does this pattern, and I have to know exactly what arc to jump into to hit him, or to get past him, and I need to know the timing of when this thing reaches this apex and shoots a shot out, and then he goes back down and he shoots a shot out. You have to learn those and memorize those patterns. And I'm like, my brain's got other things stored. I don't need to memorize patterns right now.
But that's the thing. You know, you right there, you described everything you need to do, know how to do, but doing it is the hard part. It really is. I mean, they're at the beginning, you know, the first level of this game is like, jump, you know, slash, but whatever. And then, you know, a few minutes into it, past that, oh, crap, jump,
Right.
crap.
My old man hands don't
You know,
move as
restart.
fast as my kid hands used to, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, reflexes have definitely hit a
But
stem.
you know, I don't know. I still enjoy arcade games. I look at arcade games as session-based games, so I'm not always looking at them to beat them. Whereas if I'm playing a game on the console, like the current one that we're playing for the next review, my intention is to beat it. But that's not my intention of an arcade game. My arcade when I'm playing it is, yes, I want to progress through it, but I'm also just having fun with the
It's just fun.
atmosphere. You know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, when I play an arcade, I just want to play it for that time or as many quarters as I want to put into it, right? And I don't care about getting to the end. I just want to play it for as long as my quarters or as how many quarters I want to put into the machine, and then I'm done. You know, and I can move on to the next arcade. Whereas agreed with a home console, an Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. I want to beat those games to completion.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's two different lifestyles in those things. I mean, one is really just fun. Just because your chances of beating an arcade game are pretty thin playing it. But you never really thought about it. You're
Right.
having fun.
Enjoying
You're
the
at home
atmosphere when you're
playing.
at the arcade.
Yeah, yeah. When you're at home playing, even a game like we're doing right now, or Last of Us, something that's story driven and deep and compelling, you still want to beat them, no matter which one it is. For some reason, when you're home, it's about the completion
That's my ultimate goal when I'm playing at home.
and the
Yeah, they're
fun.
fun, but the fun is, and the completion is this game is holding my attention to get to the end, whereas arcades,
Mm-hmm.
are not maybe. Yeah, they're session based. I'm gonna spend $2 on this, and that's what I'm gonna get. Cool.
Absolutely.
Anybody else got anything else they want to add?
No, great subject.
Uh,
Good talk.
Awesome.
Now just bring back some. Just really bring back some. I want to. I want to play some arcade games. I really do. I also want to get rid of COVID so I can go play the damn things. But
One thing
whatever
at a
happens
time.
first, I don't care.
Right. We'll get there. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this traversal back into our childhood and some nostalgia for you as well, and hope to catch you in our next episode.